For pretty much all of human history, our planet was, well, a pretty crowded place. It was home to a whole family of different human species, all living at the same time. But look around today. There's just one of us left. Us. Homo sapiens. So in this explainer, we're going to try and unravel one of the biggest mysteries out there. How in the world did we become the last human standing?
And it's a really strange situation when you stop and think about it. I mean, being the only human species on the entire planet, that's a new thing, a very unusual thing. For millions of years, evolution was experimenting. It created this big, bushy family tree of early human ancestors. So, what happened? Why did all those other branches get snipped, leaving just our little twig at the top?
Okay, so you know that classic picture of human evolution, the one that shows an ape slowly standing up straighter and straighter until it's a modern human? Well, you can pretty much forget that. It's totally wrong. This timeline really shows you why. I mean, look at this. 300,000 years ago, Neanderthals were already out there, thriving in Ice Age Europe. We, Homo sapiens, wouldn't even show up in Africa for another 100,000 years. And at the same time, you had other incredible species like the tiny hobbit in Indonesia just doing their own thing. For a huge stretch of time, Earth was a human mosaic, a patchwork of different kinds of people.
All right, so if we really want to understand how we ended up alone on this planet, we've got to focus on our most famous encounter, the big one, the one with the Neanderthals. These guys were the original Europeans, the absolute masters of the Ice Age. For the longest time, this was the image that popped into everyone's head when they heard the word Neanderthal. A dim-witted, brutish, ape-like caveman. But all the science, all the archaeology we've done in the last few decades, it has completely, and I mean completely, flipped that stereotype on its head. What we've found reveals a species that was so much more sophisticated than we ever give them credit for.
Yeah, forget that whole caveman image. The real Neanderthal was a remarkable survivor. Seriously, they lived in these small, tight-knit family groups, and their lives were unbelievably tough. I mean, they needed to eat up to 7,000 calories a day just to make it through those brutal winters. And we know from fossils that they cared for members of their clan who had severe, debilitating injuries, sometimes for years. That's compassion. They even buried their dead. And maybe the most amazing part, thanks to a tiny little bone in the throat called the hyoid bone, which was identical to ours, we're pretty sure they could speak. Their bodies were like perfectly engineered machines for the Ice Age. That short, stocky build, great for holding on to body heat. That huge nose, it was basically a built-in air heater, warming up frigid air before it hit their lungs. But man, they were also built for pure, raw power. We're talking incredibly dense bones, huge muscles, all for this insane hunting style, where they'd get right up close and personal with massive beasts using these heavy-thrusting spears. So, for more than 200,000 years, the Neanderthals ruled Europe. This was their world. But then, everything started to change. A new player entered the game. A taller, more slender type of human started moving up from Africa right into their backyard. And that species was us. So when you put these two groups side by side, what you're really looking at are two completely different strategies for survival. On one hand, you have the Neanderthals. They were the specialists, powerfully built for the cold, living in small, isolated family groups with a set of tools that, while effective, barely changed for millennia. And then you have us, Homo sapiens. We were the generalists. Our bodies were built for warmer climates, but our real advantage? Well, it was in our heads and in our communities. We formed these huge, interconnected networks. Our technology was always changing, always innovating, and our complex language let us think in symbols, which is a total game changer. So what happened when these two human species finally met? Well, it wasn't some big, dramatic war, not a blitzkrieg or a sudden conquest. The reality was something much slower and maybe even more decisive. It was a competition of attrition, a slow-burn rivalry for resources that played out over thousands and thousands of years. And in the end, one species was just better equipped for that particular game. So what was the sapiens' advantage? It really boils down to three key things. First up, superior technology. We're not just talking about weapons, but things like fishhooks that opened up brand new food sources, and bone needles. I mean, needles let you sew tailored clothing, which is way warmer than just draping an animal skin over you. Second, stronger social networks.
We connected in much larger groups, which meant we could trade, form alliances, and share innovations. An idea in one group could spread like wildfire. It was like an early internet. And third, symbolic thought. Creating art and jewelry, that stuff isn't just decoration. It creates a shared cultural identity, a story that binds thousands of people together into a powerful us. So when you put all that together, what was the result? Well, faced with this new, incredibly adaptable competitor, the Neanderthals were slowly, gradually outcompeted. They were pushed into more marginal lands, places that were harder to live in. Their populations started to shrink and get cut off from each other, and within about 10,000 years of our arrival in Europe, they were just gone, vanished. And here's the thing. What happened to the Neanderthals? It wasn't a one-off. It was a pattern. The same basic story played out again and again as Homo sapiens spread out of Africa and ran into other humans, like the Denisovans in Asia or the hobbits of Flores. So yeah, we were on our way to becoming the last hominin standing. But here's the crazy part. Our victory was anything but guaranteed. In fact, we came incredibly close to not making it at all. About 70,000 years ago, a supervolcano erupted, a planetary-scale disaster. It plunged the world into a volcanic winter that pushed our species right to the absolute brink. And genetic evidence tells us that our entire species, the whole global population of Homo sapiens, crashed, down to maybe 2,000 people, total. Think about that, 2,000 individuals for the entire planet. We were on the razor's edge of extinction. So how on earth did that tiny, incredibly vulnerable group of people not just survive, but bounce back to eventually populate the entire globe? Well, the answer seems to lie in what you could call our ultimate superpower, cognitive flexibility. It's this incredible combination of things: the ability to invent totally new solutions on the fly, the ability to cooperate in huge numbers, all because we can believe in shared stories, and the ability to change our behavior to meet new challenges, like instantly. It was our ultimate survival tool. And that brings us right back to the beginning. We are the improbable survivors, the lonely winners, the last branch left on a once thriving family tree. Our story isn't just about being smarter or stronger. It was a story of competition, sure, but also incredible adaptation and a huge, huge dose of luck. That same cognitive flexibility, that superpower that let us outlast everyone else and pull ourselves back from the brink of extinction, it's the same thing that now gives us the power to reshape the entire planet. So that leaves us with one massive unanswered question. We command this planet alone. What are we going to do with that responsibility?
History isn't dust, it's a journey through time. Here on History LM, we tell it simply and fast. If you love discovering the past in just a few minutes, hit like and follow History LM. Your next journey through time is waiting.